Hey guys, so we're getting back into From the Depths, and I have absolutely no idea how many of the small videos I've just recorded I'm going to show you, but definitely showing you this one. So I've, I guess the last one I showed you is when I just had one Fox. I now have these. Well, I built two aircraft. I built a second Fox, so this down here is now a fleet of two Foxes. The flagship, this one, is the one that contains most of the resources. The second Fox barely has any fuel on its own and has absolutely no resources of any other kind, so only one of them has like a secondary transport bit built in, while this other one's just a normal Fox, which makes it slightly faster. The one that I've put the extra resources in is actually a little slower. I've also built an air superiority fighter that I'm calling the F-1 Selene. I'm going to be using the American just the numerical series with the letter to designate what it is. It was originally going to be an interceptor, but it was so good at destroying everything, I figured that that would make it sound a little too limited. And it's also a reasonable multi-role aircraft. It actually can attack surface vessels reasonably well, although there are a lot of relatively low-ranked surface vessels that have enough anti-air capability that it kind of falls apart pretty quickly. It's made entirely of wood, and as a result, it's insanely cheap, and it's ridiculously good at killing aircraft. So we're about to get into quite a large fight. I've cleared out some sectors. I've also made a second aircraft, which I'm calling the U-2. It has absolutely nothing to do with the American U-2 spy plane, although I did make it a spy. It's basically a quadcopter, and the U stands for utility. Unlike the U-2, which the Americans named a utility aircraft to try and confuse the Russians, it's not actually a utility aircraft, it's actually a spy plane. That was its one and only intended purpose. But we called it a utility plane to try and confuse people. I've actually called it the U-2 because it's the second aircraft I've made, and because it is an actual utility plane, and I'm going to use it to transport supplies. And it's a reasonably high speed at 58 meters per second. It's not as fast as the 87 meters per second Selene, but it's pretty damn fast. The U-2 Spy is a spy variant that has a radar dish built into the bottom, and because it can fly at such high altitude, it gives it a huge bonus range. You can remember my stationary radar, which I still have, only has an effective range of like this much. This thing in the air in the center of this area can see massive amounts of stuff, so it has a ridiculously long range, and it also still has the same utility benefits as the other U-2, although the normal U-2 can do 54 meters per second. This one with the massive radar dish can only do 45. So it's quite a bit slower and twice as expensive, but it also has this massive radar capability. So I'm going to be using it both as a transport and I think I'm going to use it mostly as a salvage craft, while this other one is going to be used more. Or I'm going to build a third U-2 and use that as a salvage craft, while this one's more the transport. But as it stands, I'm going to be using both of my Foxes and my Selene, and I'm going to be engaging these aircraft. Over here is a casket bolt, which is a rather crappy aircraft, and something else that the Selene is going to try and kill. At the same time, the two Foxes are going to engage these two Atlases and the fortress that's guarding the second resource point. And I don't know if it's also going to drag the Atlas gantry into the battle. I'm not sure. We're about to find out. It very well may just put me into battle with just this one. Or it's gonna drag them into. Alright, so we're gonna drag the Selene into the battle as well. The other Fox is already being taken. Oh, they've decided to make the Selene the flagship for this fight, which is interesting. It is an incredible little aircraft. So the two Atlases are going to be very easy to kill for the Selene. I'm not sure how the Foxes are going to deal with it. And then I don't know. The casket bolt's going to die pretty fast. Well, I don't know. We'll just see. We'll just wing it. I don't really have any plans. So we're going to warp to the Selene, and then we're just going to let my avatar fall. I don't think I have a chair on it. Nope. So we're just going to let the avatar fall, and we're going to follow the Selene and see what it does. And we aren't going to have the best frame rate for this. Boy, we did not have the best frame rate for this. But, yeah. Shit happens, you know. So the Foxes are over there. Over there. I think they're far enough away that I can barely see them. But they're doing some work. The Selene, being incredibly fast, is closing in on that casket bolt like crazy. That's my favorite thing about using fighters, is that they cover a lot of distance very quickly. So the Selene only has 2 weapon systems. It has these long-range 5-block high-speed missiles, and then it has those, which are much shorter-range missiles, although... And I don't know what they're targeting. Yeah, I have no idea where they're going. That's bizarre. I'm using a Lua guidance system, so they shouldn't be too derpy. So we've already knocked the casket bolt out of the sky, and it's only going to take a little bit to kill it. Yeah, I have no idea where those missiles are going. Yeah, my my missiles decided that they're going to try and kill something way over there, I guess. But it's alright, the Selene flew past absolutely no problem. Doesn't look like I took any real damage. And it's going to turn around and take another pass. And we're going to... Hopefully the casket bolt dies off pretty fast. The 2 Atlases over there. The Atlas itself is pretty slow. The Foxes themselves, at only 20 meters per second relative to this jet, are also quite slow. So hopefully we're going to be able to kill this casket bolt, which is basically like a... It's basically a helicopter gunship where the blades go around the outside rather than the top. Which is a little silly, but it does work in this game. So we got the small missiles coming in again. They basically are... I basically built them as sort of cruise missiles. While the larger missiles carry the same payload, but they're significantly larger missiles that don't turn as well, that are also much faster. Yeah, and I don't know why, but my relatively short-range missiles keep trying to go after ships over there, but we just destroyed its AI core, so we're done. The casket bolt's dead. And it just went nuclear. Wow. Poor little guy. So my fighter might be stupid enough to try and take one more pass at him, but other than that, we're just done with them. So I'm going to warp to the Foxes, my Foxies, because they're a lot closer to the actual battle. And I'm curious how well they're doing. No, I don't want to withdraw them. I want to warp to one of them. So for whatever reason, do I not have them in... Do I have their AI off? That one's not moving. Oh, I put them both in fleet move there. Now that they're in combat, they should start moving. Probably should have paid attention to them earlier. They weren't. They're just sitting still. But the Atlases are relatively poor ships. It looks like we always shot enough balloons off them that the Atlases sunk. We are in relatively high seas, which, again, the Fox was designed to hydroplane at relatively high speeds with a relatively weak, cheap engine on very flat seas. So the fact that we are no longer on very flat seas is going to hurt its speed significantly, but not as significantly as I was expecting. And overall, its stability is high enough that it can get away with it, no problem. So where's the Selene at? The Selene's right there, launching its missiles. Hopefully the Selene's not going to smash into this mountain. I don't actually know how it deals with its terrain avoidance. And that missile, one of the missiles that I just fired, just decided to fly right into the ground. The Foxes, I've tweaked their AI a touch to make them a little bit less likely to ram into mountains like this, but I promise you nothing in the long run. Don't turn to the left, don't turn to the left. Don't do it. Don't do it. If you turn to the left, you're going right into the mountain. As I said, oh, it's turning to the left. I don't actually know how its terrain avoidance works. If it tries to fly up, it's just going to smash into a higher spot of the cliff. Oh, something just exploded. Oh, wow. It looks like we knocked out part of the... I don't know what that is. Yeah, it looked like the outpost had its own small little helping thing. Okay, so the Selene actually, it decided that it was going to try and avoid the mountain by pulling up, and it actually gained enough altitude quickly, and then it shot the mountain. But so these little cruise missiles, they use the same javelin guidance that a lot of my other missiles use, where they fly over the top of the target and then dive down on them if they're at high enough altitude. But then that Atlas down there died, and the missiles decided to retarget to this Atlas over here, and I don't know if they have the range to reach it. And some of them have retargeted to the outpost, which I know they don't have the range to reach. Yep, it had the range to hit the Atlas. So we've destroyed one Atlas down there now. The Foxes did the majority of the work. The Selene knocked out the casket bolt over there, and whatever the little thing that the outpost gave off. And this guy is not doing well either. The Atlas is, in theory, a really great ship, but for whatever reason, the AI can't deal with it well. And all those missiles that are falling out of the sky because they ran out of fuel and weren't able to aim themselves in. So the Selene launching its longer range high speed missiles, which again, decided that they didn't want to kill the Atlas. Launching another swarm of missiles, only one of which decided to go after the outpost. I don't know if those have the range to get there either, but we're going to watch these come in. These are going to do a lot of damage. Oh boy. And the shrapnel carrying all the way through the craft and poking out the other side. It didn't manage to destroy the metal in the center, but it did manage to just bypass it and rip a hole all the way through the ship. And that's why I love those little spike missiles, or the frag missiles. Yep, and those are the 2 long-range missiles that tried to go to the outpost. I don't think they actually did it. Never mind, they actually managed to hit the outpost. And the outpost is trying to fire on the Selene, which isn't going to work. The 2 Foxes have decided that they're going to try and focus fire on this Atlas and retreat away from the outpost. Which, there could be worse things. Well, the Selene is going to finish the outpost, it looks like. Oh, this poor ship. Oh, and it just got derp gunned by a Fox. Oh, nope, those missiles decided to come to the Atlas, too. Well, and I don't know where that one's going. But that was just... And the AI is dead on the outpost as well from some of the other cruise missiles. So we did it. We've taken it all out. We have won. And how much damage did the Foxes take? I did leave them sitting there for quite a while with the other one. Who's my little Foxy? Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Oh, all these poor ships. The Atlases are so large, and yet they just don't work. Who's your little fox? You're a little fox. It looks like they're completely undamaged. I'm pretty sure the Selene is also undamaged. The Selene has absolutely no repair capability whatsoever, so if the enemy does get a lucky shot and does damage part of it, I mean, there's not really anything that it can do. It just gets damaged. I mean, that's that. Oh, I love it so much. It's such a cool little fighter. So I'll give you a closer look on the Selene in the next video, probably. I think I'm going to bring my main fortress up to here and leave some smaller fortresses, or leave some small stuff down there. So the airship gantry is going to be my next target. So I'll see you guys next time when the next big battle happens, or the next time I have all my ships back in one place so we can look at them in greater detail. So I will see you next time. And oh my god, these starting ships are so powerful.